Behold! Chinaman's Hat, Kualoa Beach Park. I went. That auntie from the other day, she suggested I go, and I did. I got there early, before anybody showed up. It started pouring. Well, I came to that Kualoa Beach Park Chinaman's Hat place. There's Chinaman's Hat out there through the rain. There's some people out there taking like wedding photos. I waited for it to stop pouring. The tourists showed up. I got on my one wheel, I got a little bit of footage. It started pouring again, so I ended up leaving. I am again at Temple Valley Shopping Center by that old abandoned movie theater, because it's just a comfortable place to be. Today, I want to talk about drugs. Drugs have been a part of my life since, well before I was born, I guess. My mother and my father were both meth heads, and they went through their own lives, kind of built up to that place, sort of, went from one mistake to another until they found each other, and they wound up here in Hawaii, where their crystal meth intake really took off. Growing up, I was put on Ritalin as a kid. My experience with that was pretty shitty. I know a lot of people today like to take Adderall because it gets them all spun and hyper and tweaky. When I was a kid and I would take Ritalin, I can remember my days, like, my mother would wake me up and I'd go downstairs, I'd like get all dressed, I'd go downstairs and I'd pass out at the kitchen table while she was getting everything ready to go to school. And then she'd get me in the car to take me to school, and I'd pass out on the way to school. And then I'd get to school and I'd go inside to whatever homeroom class I had, and the teacher would put a stack of like paperwork on my desk, whatever the class was going to be doing from the beginning of the day up until lunch. And I'd sit there and I'd finish that entire packet of paperwork, and then I'd lay my head down and I'd go to sleep, and the teacher would wake me up when the bell would ring, and I'd go to the cafeteria and I'd sit down and I'd go to sleep. And then I would wake up when the bell would ring and I'd go to class. She'd give me another stack of paper. I'd do all that homework, whatever it was, from lunch until the end of the day, and then I'd go back to sleep. The bell would ring, I'd get up, my mother would be somewhere in the parking lot waiting to pick me up, I'd get in her vehicle, I'd go to sleep. She'd wake me up when we got home. Often she'd just carry me inside, and that was the end of my day. I'd wake up the next day and I'd do it again. As I got older and my mother did eventually take me off of the Ritalin, I watched my older sisters become potheads, and then my middle of my older sisters become an alcoholic, start doing things like acid and shrooms and pills and stuff. Marshfield was I don't know. Marshfield was a weird place to start doing drugs. Me and my friends were lucky enough to have, I guess, I don't think he ever called himself a psychonaut, but the way it was sort of described to me, there was a guy in Marshfield that me and my friends met. His name was Lester, and we called him Lester the Molester. I don't know that he ever molested anybody, but it was just a funny name that we gave him. Older guy, man, he grew up in like the 50s and 60s. He witnessed all the partying and stuff. And he told us stories of how, like, back in the good old days, there was always the party house you could go to where there would be a person or a group of people who could teach you how to take drugs safely and, like, what drugs to take and what not to take and this and that. Just kind of get younger people caught up on the culture they're about to be involved in. And I hung out with that guy numerous times as a youngster. He never got me high. He never offered me anything. I probably maybe smoked cigarettes with him. I've been smoking cigarettes since I was 11. And then on my 13th birthday was when I got to get high for the first time. I got to smoke some weed and drink some Budweiser, which my friends kept referring to as butt wiper, and they kept telling me that I would learn why it's called butt wiper later. Funny thing, actually, I may have been around drugs, and drugs may have been a part of, you know, my family identity growing up, but I was always a pretty straight-laced kid. Like, I didn't want to make the same kind of mistakes that my family did. And I can remember the same summer that I turned 13. I don't remember exactly how long before my birthday it was. I know it was close enough that on my birthday they were still making fun of me for it. Some friends of mine and their younger siblings, younger than myself, I think they were maybe like 9 and 10, went out into the forest, and about halfway there, they start talking about how they're gonna get stoned and like who brought the papers and this and that. And one of my friends starts like rolling up a joint on like this big rock, and their little siblings are just standing off to the side. And I mean, in my defense, I just thought that all drugs were bad at this point, so like I cannot be blamed for my actions. I sort of went off on them, like how could they be doing these drugs in front of their younger siblings? How could they not be being a better influence on those kids, etc.? And so I stormed off. I left the little forest area where they were hanging out, and I made it back to the main road that sort of leads all of our houses. We all live on the same road. And I ran into another one of my friends, and I was like, hey, man, like, I don't know what you're doing, but they're in there fucking smoking weed. I wouldn't go. And he's like, oh, is that what they're doing? Oh, okay, well, I better go check it out. You know, I better go make sure everything's okay. I was like, I'm gonna go tell on them. And he's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm on my way to their parents' house right now, so, you know, you go do whatever you want. And sure as shit, I went to their parents' house, and I narked on them, and they didn't get caught or anything. The parents didn't really care. No, I don't remember I don't think anybody got in trouble, but I remember on my birthday when I got to smoke for the first time, they were like, are you sure you're not gonna narc on us, bro? I was like, come on, man, I wanna be cool. You know? So the story goes such: my mother was dating a man, married to a man. He tried to kill me. She kicked him out. He moved to California. She moved to California. A little bit of time goes by. She tells me I have to move to California. I get there, and things are a little bit different in the Bay Area of California than they are in Marshfield, Missouri. I got introduced to a lot of different things there in California. It was the first time I did triple C's. It was the first time I did meth. It was the first time I did oxy. It was the first time I did salvia. Other different pharmaceutical pills, probably Vicodin and stuff like that. Like, it was sort of that era of things. I spent like 2 weeks. My mother and I just argued about this the other day. She thinks that my timeline must be kind of fucked up. She says it must have been after she left the guy that she was with and moved out, leaving me with him before I moved to Hawaii. I think it was before that, but there was a guy that I was friends with who I did not know was a meth head. He kept that shit on lock. And I was hanging out with him one night, and he busted it out, and I'm like, ooh, what is that? And he's like, this is called crystal meth, bro. And I'm like, whoa. I want to know what it is about that stuff that got my parents for, 25, 30 years And so I tried it, and I spent, like I said, like 2 weeks with him, smoking multiple times every day. And back to what I was saying about Ritalin. I think the general consensus that I've gathered over my life interacting with other people is that if your ADHD is so fucking off the charts that you're just on meth regularly, your sober brain is just the tweaker squirrel brain, then when somebody gives you tweaker squirrel drugs, you just fucking robot, you just fucking zone the fuck out. My mother says that it's why she liked doing meth so much, is that she's so scatterbrained and out of control and all over the place all the time that when she does it, it fucking puts her on a straight line, makes her focus, gives her clarity. I fucking hate it. I'll tell you how I stopped doing meth with this guy. There are these long sort of mountain or like biking, like walking paths that go from park to park to park in this area of the Bay Area I was in, and me and this guy would just go from like one bench to one park to one bench all along down this path, up and down and around. And this day it was raining. It was Bay Area drizzling, but it was drizzling pretty substantially. And we got to this park, and he goes up underneath the park equipment to get the bowl loaded and start smoking. And I remember this clear as day. I've shared this with so many people. I walked up to a slide. This plastic slide, kid slide. We've all seen them. At the bottom of the slide was a puddle. I'm sure we've all seen puddles in slides, What do? You take your hand, you wipe the puddle out, right? That's what you do. And I knew that's what I should do. And instead, I just sat down in that puddle. And I sat there long enough that I could feel my jeans soaking with water. I was sitting there watching the water drip off of my bangs. Whatever era of the 2000s it was long gay boy bang time, so I had those. I'm watching my pants darken with the water. I have a pack of cigarettes in my front left pocket, and I know that if the water makes it to that part of my jeans, that my cigarette pack will get ruined and I'll waste those cigarettes, and I still didn't move. And I kind of sat there for a long time thinking about like where I was and what I was doing and what had gotten to this point. And I stood up and I looked at the guy, and he was like, "Hey, you want to come smoke?" And I was like, "Nah, man, I think I'm gonna go." And he was like, "What are you gonna do?" I'm like, "I am gonna get a hold of some friends of mine. I'm gonna get high on something else, and then I'm just gonna go to sleep for a long time. I think I'm done with this." And he's like, "Okay, man, yeah." And he did his thing, and I left. And well, that wasn't the very, very last time I did meth, but that one's more of a funny story. I was also dosed with PCP while I was there. There was a lot of crazy shit that happened in California. A product of me coming from a new place, people thinking that I'm just a backwoods hick, me having to prove myself and be the coolest and run with the older kids and all of that fun social malarkey. My mother did eventually leaving me there with the guy who tried to kill me in the past, and I eventually had to leave, get a hold of my father, make my way back to Hawaii. I wasn't here for very long before I can remember my dad having a talk with me. We were in his work truck, and I remember punching the roof. And I'm saying, "You're just so angry all the time." And I was like, "Yeah, it's like I've got fucking burning magma in my soul, and it's always fucking trying to spill its way out. I don't know what to do about it. What should I do about it?" And he says, we're gonna go for a hike." I'm like, "I don't know how that's supposed to help, but sure, let's go." And he takes me to this mountain nearby to where he has lived on the island in multiple different dwellings, but general area of the island. And we're walking down the trail, and I'm spewing some vial about whatever geopolitical shit I was thinking about at that point in my life, because at that point in my life, I was really going the Alex Jones route of just fucking rah, 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 all the fucking time, rah! And I'm doing that rah, rah, rah thing, and then my dad says, hey, look down. And I look down. And there's a pile of cow shit there. And I'm like, what the fucking... Wait. Are those any nods? And I go, what do I do? I just pick them and eat them? And he's like, yeah. But, there will be like a little bulb on the bottom of it. Sometimes that bulb's covered in cow shit. Try and leave that there so they keep growing. I'm like, so these are just magic mushrooms. These are just... I don't have to buy them from a guy? Like, what the fuck? And he's like, yeah. And so that was where I encountered magic mushrooms, and where I started going down a different path. They definitely got me started. They put me in a place to be like, whoa, man, I've done hardcore narcotics. I've done pharmaceuticals. I've done druggy drugs, but I've never done hippie drugs. And hippie drugs, psychedelics. Whoa, that's a different thing, man. The mushrooms that I have picked from this specific mountain, I've done some research on them over time, and like the closest confirmation I can get from like Reddit people is that the Hawaiian baby blue cap is like a close offshoot to blue meanies. So they're very, very, very powerful. And they don't so much like, whoa, dude, kaleidoscope, man. They kind of, to rattle it off quickly, I guess, the way that I've described them to people is that they're the indica of the mushrooms. They put you inside yourself and force you to come to grips with things that you may otherwise not want to. And that's an interesting thing to do to a 15-year-old. I was 15 when my dad took me down whatever trail that was that we went down. By the time that I was 16, I had pursued the world of psychedelia so much that I had begun to introduce myself to and ingratiate myself with not just people who sold drugs, because anyone can sell drugs. I started getting myself in with the people who brought the drugs in, because you're going to get the best price the closer you get to the top. And, well, I mean, getting coke isn't super hard, getting meth isn't crazy hard, getting crack isn't very difficult. Like, those are like street drugs that, they're a dime a dozen, I think is the saying. Getting your hands on liquid acid is like, it's a little bit more difficult. And as I started learning more, I realized, like, it's really not all that much. You just have to, like, kind of have the balls to set it up and do it. And so by the time I was 16, I got a dealer to give me some DMT. I had heard about it from 14 forward. There was actually a really crazy situation that happened once where I met a girl named Destiny who had a book called DMT, the Spirit Particle. And I looked at that book and I said, I've heard of that. What is it? And she said, it's not for you. And I said, what the fuck do you mean, not for me? And she said, DMT is not a drug, it is a spiritual experience. You are not looking for a spiritual experience, you are looking to get high. And I laughed and I said, well, yeah, I'm looking to get higher than I've ever been before in my life. That's the whole thing. That's this whole journey. It's about constantly putting stuff inside me until I just explode. That's like what this is about, right? So I mean, obviously DMT is something I gotta try. And try it, I did. The guy that got it for me came to the islands from Vegas, and I guess he was very well connected here. And I met him kind of on a chance, on a lark, on a stroke of luck. And he told me that he had heard of this stuff before, but he had never done it before. He was a little bit more of like a hardcore narcotic salesman. And he told me he'd put his feelers out, though, and that he could get it for me. And so, like, I want to say, like, maybe a week or two or, like, a month goes by or something like that. And he calls me, and he's like, hey, man, I just went to a fucking crazy party last night, and you wouldn't guess what happened. And I just go, someone gave you DMT. And he goes, yeah, man, how'd you know? I was like, you haven't called me in a minute. It's probably that. He's like, yeah, so the guy gave it to me, man, and I don't know how much it's worth. I don't know how to weigh it. So, like, you can just have it, dude. And I'm like, for real? Like, he's like, yeah, man, I'll come over and I'll give it to you. Yeah, dude. It was Steve-O. It was Steve-O. So he gives me, like, this bindle. And I convince my stepbrother, who has been sort of doing this journey with me, to take it with me. And it's kind of funny. He had never done any like drug stuff before, and then I got him stoned. He was like, "Well, this is cool. What else do you do?" And I started doing more with him, and it was always a very controlled setting, controlled situation. Like, we never like went out and did crazy stuff. Like, the property that we were living on at the time, we had access to this big old jungle, and like we were pretty much safe to just take stuff and be where we were. And I remember, so the guy told me that his guy told him that it's best to smoke it out of like a crack pipe, but if I don't have that, I can just put it on top of weed. So I put it on top of weed, and I remember staring at it like, I've never been a pussy for drugs ever. It's just, oh, there it is, it's down, we're going, it's fun, you know. If you don't like it, you can throw up, you can hold your knees, you can wait. But this one, I don't know, I felt weird about it. And he said, quit. He said, what's the problem? I said, I don't know, I've heard this one's pretty heavy. We should take it seriously. And he goes, quit being such a fucking pussy. And he takes the pipe from me, and he hits it, and he goes, oh shit. And he lays back down. We're at a place in the jungle. We've got a fire going. We've got blankets and towels and stuff. It's all very hippie. And I kind of take the pipe from him as he's going down, and he's unfucking conscious. I'm like, hey, bro, are you cool, man? Hello? And like, he's breathing and stuff. His eyelids are twitching a little bit, and the smell of burning rubber is coming up into my nose off this pipe. And I'm like, well, bombs away. And I won't tell the whole story of what happened there. That's a whole video on its own. But whether I say that I had an interaction with aliens, or I say that I got so high I think I thought I might have seen some aliens, I had a wild and crazy experience because I smoked enough DMT for 8 fucking people in one sitting. I had a wild and crazy experience that left me with a mission and a strong moral compass. And I woke up from that, and I compared my experience to my brother's, and his experience was fairly tame and mundane in comparison to mine. A little while goes on. By the time I'm 17 years old and officially not involved in high school anymore, I have my own chemist who is making things for me. How I met him is a pretty funny story. This phone that I'm recording on only has so much memory on it, so I don't know if I should go into that either. But long story short, the first time I bought from him, I carried a piece of aluminum foil home with me. I kept it in my hand. Good positive vibes and stuff. I'm so excited. This is the first time I'm going to get to do like real liquid acid. I've heard that this guy's stuff is like nothing I've ever done before. And I get home and I go into my bedroom and I sit down and I open up this piece of aluminum foil. And what is inside, is a soggy nacho cheese Dorito chip. And I wrapped it back up in aluminum foil, and I went out of my room, and I went on a warpath, yelling and screaming, and my father's like, whoa, what the hell is the problem? And I'm like, fucking guy ripped me off all of this, fucking went through all this fucking trouble to fucking set this up and meet this dude, and it was all so weird, and I had to jump through all these fucking hoops. And he's like, well, did you eat the chip? And I'm like, no, I didn't eat the fucking chip. Bro gave me a fucking stale Dorito chip. Why the fuck would I have eaten the fucking Dorito chip? He's like, go eat the chip. I'm like, fine, fuck you, old man. You don't know shit. I'll eat the fucking chip. I put the fucking chip in my mouth. That chip tasted so weird. There was something fucking off about that chip, dog. And I'm fucking grumpy, and I'm laying in my bed, and I'm fucking grumpy, dog. I'm fucking grumpy that this fucking guy ripped me off, and that I didn't get my shit, and that I jumped through all these fucking hoops, and I believed all these stupid motherfuckers. And I decided I'm gonna load a bowl to try and calm myself down. And so I'm loading this bowl, and I'm looking at this nug. And this nug is so fucking beautiful. It's like a Christmas tree. It's shining brilliantly, and everything is swirling, and I'm diving inside of it like the Beatles in a yellow submarine, and I'm zooming through the trichomes and swirling around the stem, and I'm like inside of this fucking nug of weed, and then I go, whoa, I'm high on acid, dude. And so the guy did not rip me off. And it was not just a stale Dorito chip. And later on, when I got a hold of him and I chastised him for the whole thing, he came clean, and he was like, buddy, I never thought I'd hear from you ever again. And I was like, what do you fucking mean, dog? What the hell what was all of that about? And he was like, well, there was a couple of ways that was going to go. Either you were going to think that I ripped you off, you weren't going to eat the thing, you were never going to call me again. You were gonna eat the thing and trip the fuck out and get scared and never call me again. And I was like, what do you mean I was gonna trip the fuck out and get scared and never call you again? He said, I put 5 hits on that thing. I was like, well, I mean, can I buy more, and can we not get it on Doritos? Can we figure out a way to make that work? And from there, I had myself a good old fucking friend. And then that lasted for a couple of years, and apparently I heard from some other people that I guess he caught a case from the DEA, and that he had to go away for a while and all of that, so that was a thing. And then by the time that I am 18, I will say that I have successfully gone through what I have coined as the Jedi curriculum. There is a thing that I've sort of discovered. And, you know, you'll hear popular podcasters, comedians, content creators, people in the sort of mental health space, you'll hear them talk about what psychedelics can do for people. And then you hear people talk about how they ate 3 caps of mushrooms in a stem, and they had an ego death experience, and it's like... there's a very specific targeted thing that you can do to the human brain, and under very specific targeted influences, pressures, and outside energy impressions. Things like music, you know, it's energy from outside the body. I'm not going to go so far as to say like meditation bowls or anything like that, but I mean, hey, that's the same thing. It's energy from outside the body, you know, it's a thing. You put all that stuff together and you can have some really interesting outcomes on the human psyche. And... you know, I spent all that time doing all those drugs, going to parties with people, taking things that don't even have, like, names. Like the whole class of the 2C chemicals, 2CI, 2C, TCB, 2CE, 2CP, all that fucking jazz. I helped one of my little buddies that I met pretty young. I actually met him when he was 13. I think I was 16. He was 13. And he was already a full-blown crackhead who had been kicked out of his house and was very close to failing out of school entirely. And I helped him become a better member of society. I helped him get sober and redevelop a connection with the family that had kicked him out of his house and his estranged meth head tweaker mother. His mother is just like my mother. It's crazy. One's white, one's brown, but they're the same fucking person. One's a crazy Irish person, one's a crazy Hawaiian person. They're the same person. It's crazy. I helped sort of bridge that gap I basically lived with him for a while, basically. So much as, like, I could always come over to his place and crash there, and his folks never had a problem with it. There was another friend that I lived with, a Korean guy. His family was just weird, and they didn't talk. It was like I didn't know at the time, but like traditionalist Asian American families, they're like not Asian American, but like transplant Asians from like out of country. They're like, I don't know, they don't do the talking and yelling and waving and cussing and fucking slamming the table and fucking throwing food and fucking screaming babies. I don't know, they don't do all that stuff. And I didn't understand that when I moved in with them. And I openly questioned it and like kind of quietly mocked it. Like there were times where I literally asked the mom, like, you know, why don't you and the father like communicate with the kids, you know, like I can remember one time literally sitting on the floor of her kitchen while she made curry. She's telling me that her son is such a degenerate and that he's such a letdown and a disappointment, and she wishes that he could be more like me. And I'm like, Auntie, I dropped out of high school. I wasn't working. Your kid gave me something to do. There were like little side jobs that we did. We sold like things on Craigslist. We did some mechanical stuff. There's little things. We sold weed and stuff like that. Like we didn't sell any hard chemicals or anything like that, but like he was a good kid, and he definitely helped put me on the right path. And so to sit there in her house and hear her say the things about him that she did, it bothered me. And I can remember sitting there on acid telling her, like, you know, you think all these things about your son, what do you think about me? And she gave me like this flowery, you know, speech about who I am and how I'm such a good influence on her son. And I said, like, you don't think I'm high right now? And she said, no, absolutely not. I said, Auntie, I'm sitting here, I just smoked a blunt and I'm high on acid. Like, what do you think about me? Right? And so at a certain point I actually got the family to, there was a really weird moment where the dad, who is usually off island working, calls me and tells me that we're having a family meeting and he wants me to be a part of it. And you guys don't know the family, so it doesn't matter if I talk about it, but long story short, they had a child previous to the 3 that they have now, and that child had tragically lost its life, and it changed the relationship that the mother and the father had with each other. And unfortunately, that change to their dynamic affected the new 3 kids, my friend, his younger sister, and their younger brother, in a way that was unfortunate. But luckily, this loudmouth fucking howly drug addict has come into our house and has made us see this fractured thing, and we're gonna do something about it. And they cried, and I politely pulled myself away from the situation, and then it wasn't too long after that I was politely asked to leave and do something with my life, and so I did. I can remember a story of me. I'm probably gonna have to switch over to the other phone soon. I can remember a story of me. I used to live in Hauula. Hauula is where I lived when I was doing like a lot of drugs. And Hauula is a very, very chronic fucking place. I used to hang out at the beach park there a lot, and for those of you who are not from Hawaii, that just means like, oh, he hung out at the beach a lot. For those of you who are from Hawaii and hear that I used to hang out at the Hauula beach park a lot, you're like, oh, this kid's like chronic. This kid's like one of them people. Like, yeah, tent people. I didn't live in a tent, but I hung out with people who lived in tents for sure. I remember just kind of cruising down around there, probably hanging out by the bathroom, smoking a bowl, because, you know, get out of the wind. The beaches are crazy with wind, hard to smoke a bowl there. And I heard this couple talking about like the deal that one of the chronics had offered them. Apparently, they had an EBT card with like $240 worth of EBT or some shit on it, and this chronic had offered them $120 worth of meth for their EBT card, and they were thinking about taking it. And they both looked pretty clean shaven, and the boyfriend didn't even look like he was from the island. So like, I'm wondering like, what's going on here? And I am at this point, I think I'm like 16 or 17. And I sit down with them. I just walk up to the park bench that they're at, and I sit down, and I'm like, what's going on? What are we talking about here? And they're like, whoa, kid, what the fuck? And I've always kind of been like this. Like, oh man, the story of seeing Three Doors Down at the fucking Bay Fest when I was a kid. God, I'll have to tell that story sometime. But I sit down with these. I remember, even as young as I was, looking at them and thinking they're kids. They're older than me for sure, but they're definitely kids. They're like maybe in their young 20s. And the guy explains that he just flew into the island to pick up the girl. And the girl explains that she just ran away from a facility on the Big Island. And that they are here to try and find a way to get either back to the mainland or get their grandmother, her grandmother, to like let them move in with her. So like I gather that this is an online relationship that started while the girl was in whatever facility she was in, and the guy has come to be her white knight, shining armor, swoop her away on his beautiful white horse. And so I'm trying to understand, why would you sell the EBT for meth? And they're like, well, we don't have anything else, no means of transportation, no this, no that. Like, we can get food from a food pantry, we can steal food from the grocery stores. The EBT is not really as useful as the meth is. We can take the meth and we can sell the meth, and then we'll have cash for other things. And I sat there, and I remember, like, even in the moment being like, kid, what are you doing? Like, I've always told people I'm the main character of the movie that I'm in, and the movie is my life, and that, you know, that's how I attack things. And I remember looking at them and going, I'm going to tell you a story, and thinking to myself, like, kid, you're a fucking teenager. Like, what are you doing? And I sat there and I told them my life story. I told them about Child Protective Services. I told them about the drugs that I did in Missouri. I told them about the things I went through in California. I told them about how I've been doing here in Hawaii. And I looked at them and I said, do you guys want any part of that? Is that where you guys want to go? Is that what you guys want to do? And they were like, well, no, that sucks. We don't want that for ourselves. How do we not do that? And I was like, all right, well, here's what we're going to do. Do either of you guys have a cell phone? Neither one of them has a cell phone. So I'm like, all right, let's get a hold of your grandmother first things first. And we called her and she didn't answer, and we texted her a couple of times and she didn't answer. I ended up looking her up on Facebook by the girl's request, finding her. We sent her a message on Facebook. She responded to that message. She called my number. She contacted the people. She came and picked them up from the park and went on their way. She had been looking for her granddaughter. It was like a whole fucking reunion. And then, like 2 or 3 weeks later, I was at the beach park just hanging out, and the boyfriend walks up on me. He's like, hey, Philip, what's up? I was hoping I'd see you here. I've been coming here for the last couple of days. I'm like, oh my god, why? What's happened? What's up? And he's like, I just wanted to thank you, man. You helped us reach out to her grandmother. Her grandmother's putting us up. She found a job for me. Her daughter's gonna be getting, you know, disability, whatever. She's gonna be fine. We're gonna be fine. Everything is fine. And I'm just like, just a kid who wanted to blow some fucking bullshit up your ass. I don't know, fucking, you're welcome. I'm so happy for you. And like, I haven't really matured enough to understand sort of what the psychedelics have done to me and what I excel at doing for other people. But ultimately, I get to a point where I realize that myself, my friends, the things that we're doing, I mean, people in our little group have died, people have overdosed, people have passed away doing just stupid shit. A friend of mine just stood up in the back of a truck and fell out. That's all it took. The spice stuff went through the group. Weirdly enough, I've never had a bad experience with that. I had one really, really crazy vivid hallucination that the room that I was in was on fire, and it wasn't. But like, I've never had like a seizure or like an overdose on the spice stuff. I don't know. That's a whole fucking problem. Somewhere before I moved from Hawaii to Missouri again in my, I think I was 19 or 20. I think I was 20. I just sort of realized I'm not building anything 3D. I'm not doing any... Well, that's one phone down. On to the next one. As I was saying, I I got all of this, like, mental, psychological, sort of spiritual, Jedi shit. All of this, this progress in these areas that I like to think matter. But I don't have a career. I left off right before moving to Missouri when I was 20. It wasn't until, I don't know. I took everything that I had developed and learned over my teenage years in Hawaii, and I tried to use it in Missouri on the people that I met there. And at first, I thought that was going pretty well. And I took this whole, I'm going to make you better idea to some of the people I met there. And then something happened, and I don't really want to get into, or don't really know fully, and don't really want to guess sort of what happened, but it all kind of fell apart. The relationships that I had set up, the things that I was trying to teach people, in short form, I think all of the friends that I had in Missouri at that time eventually went on to be meth heads. One of them was in like an actual asylum place. He put himself there. Another one was put in one against his will. Another one was put in one against his will. One of them just lives on disability now. And so, like, it's the first time ever that, like, I tried to, like, do this thing for people, and it just blew up in my fucking face. And so, I don't know, I kind of stopped doing that thing. And then I came back to Hawaii, and I guess what I was saying was that I'd never built anything, like, for myself, for my future. And while I was in Missouri, I had a really, really great job at a call center that I just kept getting fucking promotions in. And eventually I was leading my own team of sales agents. I had a really, really sick gig there. And I didn't do anything except for get paid and have a good time, and then get paid and have a good time, and get paid and have a good time. I didn't really, like, do anything with the stuff. There was an idea that I had with me and some friends where I was going to buy an RV, and we were going to take that RV down to Colorado, and we were going to build some stuff down there, and I even bought the fucking RV. I had it. It was great. It was a place where me and my friends hung out. But the people from Hawaii who were supposed to come here didn't. All the 10 years that I had spent in Hawaii trying to, like, do that, those people, some of the people here in Hawaii became meth heads, most of them became crackheads, all of them became alcoholics. I think out of all of them, like, 3 are doing okay. One of them, the friend that I helped build his relationship back with his family, the younger Hawaiian kid, he, like, retired or something like that at, like, whatever young age he is, because he's just been a chef in restaurants since he was a young teenager. He's doing okay, but he is in no way happy with where his life is. Another girl that I know, who I wouldn't exactly say was, like, my bestest friend, but she was like a mom of the group, she's doing well. I think she has a career at a bank, I think. I don't think she has any kids either, so, like, she's doing okay. One of these friends was found out to be a fucking chomo. So, like, it doesn't work in Hawaii, and or it doesn't work in Missouri, so I leave Missouri. Long, disturbing story short, my mother's alcoholism got completely out of hand. We had a really, really bad altercation, and I had to go. So I went. And I found myself back in Hawaii. And it wasn't until I got together with my ex-girlfriend, who you've heard me yammer so much about already, that, like, I was able to build anything for myself. That, like, I had money in an account. I could afford nice things. We had money come next paycheck. I think it was when I was working at Hard Rock Cafe that I, like, had my sort of, like, aha moment. Like, oh, this isn't sustainable. I mean, it's sustainable, but it's not what I want. It's not where I want to go with my life. It's not what I want to do. And I started angling myself towards the things that I want to do. And then I got into that car accident. And that put a 5-year hold on everything. I lost the girl, I lost the house, I lost the mobility and the strength, and I lost a lot of money. I think I had like $13,000 in my bank account before all of this happened. And I used to brag I had the best credit score out of anybody in my family, and I was pretty sure that I had the most money in my bank account out of anybody in my family. And that's all gone now. I think I have like $19 in my account until I get paid again. I have some cash, but that's just savings. I have some savings, but that's just savings. I have like money that's dedicated to getting me out of the disgusting, decrepit living situation that I'm in right now, and that's what that is. But I'm here. I have these ideas. I've got ideas in the technology, the media, the entertainment, business sector, community development. Shit, just this morning I was thinking to myself, like, all I've been through, all I've seen, all I know. Oh, I watched the Reckless Ben infiltrates Provo Canyon schools thing this morning, so that's kind of where this thought process comes from. I'm like, oh shit, I could totally make, like, asylums. I could make, like, places for crazy people to go, different places for different levels of crazy. We could treat them right, we could hire the right people, have the right resources dedicated to giving these people who need some help. You know, sure, not everybody can be helped, and, you know, well, that's just another level of resource management, you know. But I'm here, and I have these ideas, and I am doing this thing because I'm positive that nothing else in the world could make the things I will to do possible. I'm positive that the only way the things I want to accomplish are going to happen is by people out there in the world believing in me and pushing me forward. It's anime, baby. It's the power of friendship and love and, you know, this holy, unholy hatred towards the way things are. This deep-seated, burning, passionate need to be better and to see better in your lives. And as this whole thing grows, I know something I like to tell myself is if any of it works out, it's all gonna work out. If any little bit of the crazy, crazy shit I want to do works, any little thing works, it's all gonna work. Because, you know, depending on how you feel about Mr. Beast, I think we can all agree that his idea to take what you make and put it back into the thing is like, that's just good business. That's just a solid strategy to make the thing better. And I'm going to do that. And every little thing that I build is going to feed into every other little thing that I build, and they're all going to just Ouroboros themselves into success. So if my video game ideas go well, then obviously my journalism stuff will go well. And if my journalism stuff goes well, then my community outreach stuff will go well. And if my community outreach stuff goes well, then my humanitarian stuff will go well. And it's all just kind of together, you know? And I believe that. I believe that so much. It's why I started doing this. And, you know, fucking, it's what I've got, and it's shit, and it's supposed to be, and it's gonna be, and it is. So don't you fucking be down there in the comments telling me, because I know it is. And that's okay, because I ain't got a team or an infrastructure or a network or a safety net. I have nothing. And, you know, I was making a comment to that ex-girlfriend earlier today when we were talking. I am gonna make some videos that are gonna make me some enemies here in this state. Hawaii is the biggest little city on the planet. It's the biggest small town on the planet. Everyone knows everyone. Everyone's family knows everyone. And I'm gonna say some things about what I've seen and what I've experienced and how I feel that are gonna make some people pretty fucking angry with me. And I'm okay with that, because I don't have anything to lose. What are you gonna do? Take away the roaches in my bed? What are you gonna do? Take away this moldy, leaky car? What are you gonna do? I only make $300 a week. Like, I'm as far away from dangerous as a person can be, and that is good for me in this whole thing, because it allows me to think from a frame of mind that, I don't know, I doubt many other content creators are thinking from. I'll tell you what, though, with all the people you have heard me mention that I watch, I don't think I watch anybody like me. I don't know. I don't. People like me annoy me. That's probably enough jibber jabbering, though. I ran up the memory on that phone, and I'm at 11 minutes on this one. I don't really know what else I have to say. Drugs have affected my life a lot. Drugs are the way I was brought into the world. Drugs have been a limiting factor in what I've been allowed to do in the world. Some of that through my own misguided bad decisions, some through my family's own misguided bad decisions. But drugs also kind of helped formulate something in my head that I'm really grateful for. And all the suffering and confusion and scary moments that I've had, I wouldn't give it back. I wouldn't trade it. I am who I am because of it. And I think it's a good thing. I think that it'll be a good thing. So what if I just held the thing? I'll hold it and talk to it. I can move it around and make points with it. What if I put it over there and I talk to it? What if I put it over here? What if I put it over here? What about over here? I don't fucking know. So I basically just have to, like, as if I'm doing a voice memo on my phone or something. Or like I'm talking into a microphone. I don't like that very much at all. This fuzzy orange fucking thing in front of me. But I gotta get used to using it. How do you feel? Yeah? Alright. That makes sense. What kind of drugs did you do growing up? Yeah, okay. So this is my tool now. This is my little thing. My little fuzzball. My little fuzzy fucker. I don't like having it clipped to my shit, so I gotta get used to having it in my hand. And what if I take the little fuzzy cap off? What if I just hold this thing in my hand like a vape and I speak sort of kind of at the mic? I don't know. Does the having the sock off it make it any better? I don't know. Let's find out.